Hey everyone, I'm Madeline and this is my DCP tag.
Alright everyone, put on your opera glasses because it's time to present Maestro Mickey Mouse and the Philharmaddy Orchestra!
I am so excited to be filming this video. It has been a long time coming. I just finished my honours year of a Bachelor of Classical Performance in flute, and I am so excited to announce that I am going to be doing the Disney's Cultural Exchange Program from Australia in January to June next year. So for you American CPs, that's basically halfway in between spring and spring advantage. And for those of you thinking of applying from Australia or New Zealand, we have intake dates for both January and also August. So I'm taking the January one because I would not want to start working in August. The heat, no. I'm gonna transition into it slowly. So without further ado, let's get into the tag with number 1. How did I hear about the program? So I first heard about the college program when listening to the Diz Unplugged a while ago when I was first planning my very first trip to Walt Disney World back in like 2010, and I heard about it then. And then actually while I was on my first trip and just after I'd ridden Hollywood Tower of Terror, I still can't believe I actually went on that and enjoyed it. So after going on Tower of Terror when I was actually there, the merchandise cast member working by the photo pass was from Sydney, and we're like, how are you doing this? How are you working at Disney World as an Australian? And that's how I first heard about the Cultural Exchange Program. So for those of you who don't know, it's basically like the American college program except for internationals. So you have to be currently studying or start within a year of studying, which is what I did. Because all throughout my degree, I saw those Facebook ads saying, come work at Walt Disney World. And I was like, yeah, that would be great. Except I really cannot take time out of my practice. But it turns out that I'm applying for masters to start in September, so I had about 6 months where I didn't have anything to do. So a 5-month program actually sounded pretty good. And so it just happened that a couple of months ago, my mum was talking to me about, hey, you should find a job for that time. And that night, the Disney ad came up and I was just like, oh my God, I could actually apply for it. And so I did. Number 2, how was the application process? So this one's a bit different for me as opposed to Americans, because with that you have the web-based interview, the phone interview, and all the waiting. For me, I applied very late on anyway. So applications I think opened up in March and I didn't apply until mid-August. It was very much sort of on a whim thing. I am not the best example of how to apply for a Disney program. I spent probably about half an hour tops on my cover letter and just read through my CV and put it in. I wasn't expecting to get anything, but a couple of days later, I went from application received to in consideration to getting an interview. So instead of a phone interview and web-based interview, us Australians have a recruiter, or actually 2 recruiters, that come down from America and travel around Australia to do interviews at various locations, usually universities around the country. Of course, being in South Australia and Adelaide, there wasn't one in my city. So when I got offered interviews and saw the times, the only one I could make was a 3-hour plane ride away. So to be honest, that was actually a good thing, because then I did heaps and heaps of research before actually making a decision to fly over and do the interview, which I think both helped me in terms of the interview and just made the entire application process, all the visas and everything else, so much easier, because there are some people who didn't realize just how much it would cost to do the program before applying, and even while doing the interview, because they didn't even have to consider the additional costs of going to an interview beforehand. And that's probably something I'll make a video about later, but that's for another time. So yeah, the application process, the interview was really quick. We had a seminar to start off with. I think it was around an hour and a half or so of just talking about the program, and there were alumni there to actually talk about their own experiences, and I got a cool pen. So yay for that. So yeah, the interview itself though was like less than 10 minutes, probably around like 7, and I was just like, wait, that's it? And yeah, that was it. And then we heard about a week later. Number 3. where were you when you found out? So this is another benefit to being an Australian or a New Zealander, in that when you apply for the program and do your interviews, they told us up front that we would find out the next week once the recruiter had gone back to the US. This is very unlike the American college program, where it's basically luck of the draw. I don't even know, it's such a mystery as to when people find out how the acceptance waves work and everything, and I've been on the Facebook pages and just the waiting game just seems insane, and I'm so glad I didn't have to deal with that. In the group chats, we figured out that the earliest possible time it could be was that Monday night because of time zones. This was the week after my interview because I had the last day of the Australian interviews in Brisbane. And so I know a lot of people stayed up all night just checking their emails. I ended up falling asleep. But then I woke up at around, I think, like 3:30 a.m. just for no particular reason, and my phone was going crazy. Like, it was insane. So many notifications. I opened up my email and there it was. And I was just so excited. But it's 3:30 in the morning, so I was just having to like contain this sort of energy and excitement about I got into Disney. And then eventually my parents woke up and I was just like, yes, I got into Disney. And they were just like, oh, okay, cool, I'm just gonna go have some coffee, cool, okay, talk to me later about it. I was just like, I got into Disney. So yeah, that was my acceptance process and how I found out. I was in bed. And then I could not sleep for the rest of the night. It was just, there was no way to sleep. Number 4, what is your role and what were your preferred roles? So I ended up getting merchandise, which I'm super excited about. I've had some retail experience in the past and I'm really looking forward to working in merchandise at Disney, partially because I know hopefully most of the time I'll be under air conditioning. I think I put down like 4 in my high interest, and that was merchandise, character attendant, attractions, and vacation planner. Number 5, how did you find your roommates? So finding a group of girls that would tolerate my music practices would kind of make or break my entire cultural exchange experience. Thankfully, I had a really great time in finding roommates. So I wanted to have 5 roommates because I feel like having 4 total is a bit expensive and 8 is just too much to deal with. So 6 was what I was looking for. So for me, my roommate survey was the end of the process rather than the start. So by that point, I had already been interacting with quite a few people. And so my roommate survey was basically just so that people could see a better idea of who I was and see if that matched up with them, because they already were going to look at it anyway, rather than it being your sort of first point of call to try and get people's attention. Because especially on the American Facebook pages, there are so many people just constantly flooding it and it gets lost so quickly. So you want yours to be able to stand out. But for me, I essentially, on the day of acceptances, I put out my roommate survey, and the amazing Steph, you should check out her channel. I'll put a link in the description below because her blog, her channel is amazing, really informative, and she is essentially the mum of the entire Australian group that's going in 2019. She's brilliant. And we kind of linked up very early on and we're just like, okay, let's find some people. And shout out to everyone. So Steph, Annabelle, Amy, Jade, and Dominique for being amazing people. It's gonna be great and I am so excited to be going with them and rooming with them. So thank you, you guys. You made it so much easier on me and made what I thought was going to be probably one of the most stressful components of this whole application and acceptance process one of the easiest. Number 6, favorite Disney park. I think I have to go with Magic Kingdom just because it's one I've spent the most time in and I have so many good memories of, but Animal Kingdom's a close second. Number 7, first thing you want to do when you get there. So after check-in to housing, my plan is, because I've never actually been to Disney as an over 21 and been able to drink, because last time I went I was 18. So I think probably one of the first things I'll do is go to Trader Sam's and have a cocktail, because I have been eyeing those ever since like that place opened up, and I've been wanting to go so badly and order something and have things happen in the room, and it just looks amazing. And of course then going to watch the fireworks on the beach at the Poly afterwards. So yeah, that's the first thing I want to do after check into housing with my roommates, and I'm so excited to do it. Hey, it's not too long away now. Number 8, what is number 1 on your bucket list? So I have a massive bucket list, and I'll probably do another video about that because it is long. But number one on that list is to do everything, and I mean everything that I can possibly do in the parks, whether it's shows, attractions, rides, anything. And I've actually made a checklist of every single show, every single attraction, meet and greet, everything, just so I can tick them off one by one. And I'll probably do a video at the end just going through how much did I actually manage to complete in 5 months, because I don't know when I'm going to get to go to Disney World again after this, because you know, this is probably one of my last opportunities to go, and to have the amazing privilege of being able to just go into the parks whenever I want when I'm not working is something that I just want to take advantage of as much as I can. Number 9, what are you going to miss on the program? So this one's actually pretty hard because this is my first time actually moving out of the house I've been staying in for like 19 years. So it's going to be a bit sad leaving them. The longest I've been probably away from home is like 3 or 4 weeks, so I'm gonna miss my bed. I'm gonna miss my family, my cat, my friends, but also I'm gonna miss playing in an orchestra, singing in choirs, and all the things that I've been doing as part of my degree. But at the same time, that's one of the reasons why I want to go, because then I can come back afterwards and start a master's degree with a renewed sort of passion and energy and love for it, coming back to it, as opposed to just trying to slog through it. Obviously, I'll still be practicing while I'm there, but probably not as much as I am now. And otherwise, just Australian food. I don't know how I'm going to cope without Milo. Like, I have it almost religiously, like, every single day. But there's no way I can fit a kilo tin of Milo into my suitcase. And even if I did, it would only last me like a week or 2 max. So I'm gonna miss Australian snacks and food. I am bringing Vegemite with me though, because I need to educate those Americans and just everyone at Disney on how to properly eat Vegemite. That is like our mission going in as Australians. We need to educate them because it's not Nutella. You don't like spoon it out, but beside the point. Yeah, I'll miss food, family, friends, all the usual stuff. Yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm gonna be homesick, but you can't let that get in the way of enjoying your program. You really can't. So I'm not going to let it. And number 10. One thing you hope to take away from your program. This is my first time moving out of home. It's my first time having a sort of full-time job as such, where I'm working more than 30 hours a week. I'm gonna be pushed to the limit in so many different ways. I'm gonna learn so much, and I just can't wait to grow as a person, as cliched as it sounds. So that concludes my DCP tag. I hope you enjoyed. If you like this video, give this video a thumbs up. And if you want to see more content from me, just click that subscribe button down below. I will be posting more videos in the future in the lead up to my program starting on January 14th, and then of course vlogging during and probably also after the program. So stay tuned for more videos. But until then, TTFN!